When I left New York City, I thought walls and lights were pretty. Wide open space, well, that was Central Park. And when I pulled into Austin, I thought soon I would be leaving. But a little bit of Texas got stuck here in my heart. The sky's so big it scared me, but the people were so friendly. I kept putting off the date when I would depart for that west horizon, never realizing the longer that I waited, the more leaving would be hard. When I finally hit the road on Highway 10, I said, "So long, Austin, I won't be back again." But I missed Texas every day and every night. I missed Texas, even things I didn't like. I missed Texas and it was tearing me apart, 'cause a little bit of Texas got stuck here in my heart. So there I am in LA, and I'm thinking I have it made. But every now and then my dreams would fall apart. And all the shoulders I could cry on, they were in some distant time zone. So I would cry all by myself for the breaking of my heart. Ah. Now I smile and shake my head, say, how silly can you get? What could I have been thinking to be wandering that far? And the man who walks beside me, I came back so he could find me. And we're both firmly wed to the heart of the Lone Star. When I finally hit the road on Highway 10, I said, "Make room, Austin, I'm coming home again," 'cause I missed Texas every day and every night. I missed Texas, even things I still don't like. I missed Texas, and it was tearing me apart, 'cause a little bit of Texas was stuck here in my heart. Yes, I missed Texas, and I will never more depart. That may no longer be true, but 'cause a little bit of Texas, right out of the middle, it's stuck here in my heart. Yeehaw. Thank you. Yeah, we'll see. So, like I said, I did go to the West Coast. And I did make a list here, which I need to put somewhere where I can see it. Oh, so here's one of the things that's happening in my beloved Austin. And it's probably happening in a lot of other places too. There you are. The story I was telling about my exploding capo in Israel, I went and bought another capo in Tel Aviv. And this is it. But it's black, you know? I mean, it was black. But that's all they had, so I couldn't get another color. So I painted it. So what's happening in Austin right now is, here's the way a friend of mine who sells real estate there described it. There are 125 single-family homes available in Austin this week, and the demand is something like 1,500 a week. Yeah. So we've got a problem. I mean, we've got several of them, but traffic being one of the major ones. But finding places to put people is turning into a big issue. And of course, the developers are in there, they're wallowing in it, looking for land to build on, and it's Texas, so, there's land. But not everybody wants them to build something on it. I was given a prompt. During the pandemic, I joined every song challenge I could find. And one of the things that you do when you're doing that is they give you a prompt and you write a song around it. And the prompt was, find a news story and write a song. Well, we don't get the paper because the paper in Austin they're better than they were, but not by much. So I went online to see what was in the paper, and I found this story. It was a video, and it was an interview, and I started taking notes on this video interview, and I realized that this person on the video was pretty much writing my song for me. So here's the song he wrote. My papa really loved this land. I'd feel I was betraying him if I was the one to let it go. He used to say if you had pliers and a roll of baling wire, why, you could fix most anything that broke. Family history is big for me. Great-great-granddad born in slavery. Well, when he was freed, he came to Texas. Bought this land with saved up gold, and his descendants each have owned it. I don't propose to be the one to lose it. So it's not for sale. The land is not for sale. The city needs more houses, so I understand. But Papa Connor's land is not for sale. I'm leaving it to my granddaughter. I want to do that for her, 'cause she lost her dad when she was only 5. Oh, dear. I like to think that he is watching and happy with these things I'm doing, like he'd do if he was alive. So it's not for sale. The land is not for sale. The city needs more houses. That I understand. But Papa Connor's land is not for sale. She can be anything she wants to be. Write her own future. She will keep the land and story going for those who come after. So it's not for sale. The land is not for sale. The city needs more houses. Yes, I understand, but Papa Connor's land is not for sale. The city needs more houses. Sure, I understand, but Papa Connor's land is not for sale. My papa really loved this land. I'd feel I was betraying him if I was the one to let it go. Thank you. I keep meaning to find him and thank him for that, but I changed his name, and now I can't remember what his original name really was. One day I'll figure it out. Okay. So, one more about Texas, and then I promise I'll leave it alone. I like playing it's like this one, and my second favorite place to play is at farmers markets, because one of the things I realized after my kids were all grown up was the baby craving really never does go away. So I like to play at farmers markets because everybody brings their little kids, and they're so much fun to watch, and they think I'm entertaining them. Well, so there's one particular one that I've been doing every month, and it's about a 2-hour drive from Austin, which is fine with me. The only part that's not fine with me is that I have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do it. But that's okay, because I get to watch the babies. And the road that goes to Houston, there's 2 of them, and one of the roads that goes to Houston runs right next to my house, practically on my doorstep. And so that's the one I take. And it does this bizarre thing. And I've looked at it on the map, and it really does do what it says it does, but it doesn't feel like that. Here's what it does. It goes southeast for about 70 miles, and then it makes a right angle turn, and somehow you're still going southeast. And I'm like I said, I've looked at it on the map, and it really does do what it's saying it's doing, but it sure doesn't feel like that. Well, right after the turn, there used to be this field full of old gas station signs. And, the Pegasus and the torch, the Standard Oil torch, and the old Texaco signs. And total mystery. What were they doing there? No idea. And in the middle of them, there was this building, this little white building, and on the top of it, it said Jezebel Cafe. Well, I'm a songwriter, And I kept thinking, and I never could do it, I kept thinking I should get out and find out what that's about, but I was always in a hurry every time I went that way. At 6 o'clock in the morning, you kind of have to be in a hurry or you're going to go to sleep. So I wouldn't get out, and then one day I made the trip, and it was gone. Yeah, and I kind of regretted that I'd never gotten to find out what the Jezebel Cafe was all about, or what those gas station signs were there for. There's one of them back now. I went this way about 2 weeks ago, and there's a Texaco sign next to a roadhouse kind of for bikers. Or that's what it looked like. It's not the Jezebel Cafe, and it's not called that. I think it's called the Roadkill Cafe, but I can't really remember. So after thinking about it a while, I realized that I actually have seen the Jezebel Cafe, and possibly so have you, because there's so many of these in Texas, and I suspect they're all over the Midwest. And so I'm going to describe the Jezebel Cafe, but I know you've seen a place just like it. Oh, please, hold on. I can't do that to you twice in one set. There we go. Behave yourself. At the Jezebel Cafe and Dance Hall, where Blondie presides at the bar, and the regulars line up before the doors open at 7. There's a raised wooden stage in one corner, and the band drifts in around 9. And they drink up their brews and finally go on at 11. And what they lack in skill, they make up in enthusiasm. And the ladies imagine they're the belles of the ball. On the arm of Prince Charming at the Jezebel Cafe and Dance Hall. at the Jezebel Cafe and Dance Hall. The tall tales and stories abound, like how someone pulled a catfish from the Brazos as big as a cow. No, really, a cow. Right. All their granddads built the first church in the county, and all of them go every Sunday, except for the ones that grin and swear that they're in church right now. And what they lack in truth, they make up in enthusiasm. And the ladies imagine their heroes about 7 feet tall. No, wait, make that 8 feet at the Jezebel Cafe and Dance Hall. It's not far from civilization, but it's not too close either. Between Brenham and College Station, about a mile from the river. And they know that developer's coming, and they'll have to move over sometime soon, but they say they'll hang on till the Jezzy is gone. And at the Jezebel Cafe and Dance Hall, when the lights come up on the decor, it's all sawdust and 2x4s, but the patrons don't care, 'cause it's good old days that they come for, a fragment of fast fading time. So tomorrow at 7, again they'll all line up right here. And what they lack in variety, they make up in enthusiasm. So they'll keep on attending till they hear that last call. They'll be singing and dancing and talking and smoking, playing pool and foosball and joking at the Jezebel Cafe, the Jezebel Cafe and Dance Hall. Thank you. So did that sound familiar? Have you been there? There's dance halls all over Texas. I guess they're fading now, but when I first arrived in the 70s, you couldn't swing a dead cat, which is a Texasism. Swing a dead cat and you'll hit a dance hall. So I have this friend who is very involved in climate change and very passionate about it, and he's done several they're websites, but they're more than that. They're like surveys about how people feel about it and how they'd like to get involved in it. And he's set up, this is a little cloud cuckoo land, so you'll have to forgive me, but it wasn't my idea. He set up a bunch of broadcasts from places that are, I've just learned this word, so I may butcher it, antipodal, like on the opposite side of the planet from where there are real climate issues, real air issues or real water issues, like, for example, the opposite point on the planet to Beijing, where the air is, like that. And he feels that this is going to have some influence on what happens in Beijing. And, I don't know, he could be right. So he asked me to help him with the website by writing some music for it. So I wrote him several songs. I'm going to play you my 2 favorites. And here's how this one happened. He said something to me about the Northern Lights, which actually and I point this out in the song, the northern lights are kind of an indicator. And we had a conversation about it. The conversation ended. I hung up. And about an hour later, somebody else said something to me about the northern lights. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. We were just talking about that. You know how you do. And then about 2 hours after that, somebody else said something to me about the northern lights. And I thought, I think I'm supposed to write a song here. So this is the song. Magnetic fields fight their way across the sky and show us brilliant colors, the northern lights, and we are all reminded the beauty we have here. How fortunate we are to have protective atmosphere and the home we share. The northern lights remind us has water and air. The northern lights remind us that there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee. The northern lights remind us. The northern lights remind us. Celestial looms weave the darkness into lights that dance above the planets to dazzle human eyes, and we are all reminded of vast eternity. How fortunate we are, however briefly, just to be on the home we share. The northern lights remind us has water and air. The northern lights remind us that there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee. The northern lights remind us. The northern lights remind us. It's a beautiful and deadly universe, and everything that we hold dear depends on our next choice. For though we send our rockets up to land on planet Mars, or lie back on the hillsides to admire the stars, the northern lights remind us with their shimmering towers how fortunate we are to have this earth of ours. The home we share, the northern lights remind us, has water and air. The northern lights remind us that there's no guarantees. There's no guarantees. The northern lights remind us. The northern lights remind us. The northern lights. The northern lights remind us. Thank you. So one of the remedies is to do whatever it is in your power to do in order to counteract all the things that we've done up to this point. My husband can do chapter and verse on this. I'll spare you. But he's not wrong. One of the things is we can plant trees. That didn't sound good. Better? No. Wow. Don't be changing your mind now. One of my friends, every time this happens to her, says, we tune because we care, and I do. but I like my ears to hear good things too. Behave yourself. This is what you get for putting a guitar on an airplane. They get cantankerous and think they know it all. After all, they've flown, haven't they? One of the things you can do, as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, is plant trees. According to something I read the other day, the time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Failing that, do it now. In the name of my mother, I will plant a tree. In the name of my father, I will plant another. In the name of my sister, and also of my brother, I will plant a tree. I will plant a tree. For the good of my children, I will plant a tree. For the good of their children, I will plant another. For the good of my friends, and also of my lover, I will plant a tree. I will plant a tree. I will plant birds. I will plant bees. I will plant hopes, and I will plant dreams. I will plant for all the children yet to be. I will plant a tree. I will plant a tree. In the month of April, I will plant a tree, Earth Month. In the month of May, I will plant another. As all the months go by, one after the other, I will plant a tree. I will plant a tree. I will plant birds. I will plant bees. I will plant hope, and I will plant dreams. I will plant for all those children yet to be. I will plant a tree. I will plant a tree. I will never sit in the shade of it, or any tree I plant today. But I will take delight in those trees anyway, anyway. And I will plant birds. I will plant bees. I will plant hope, and I will plant dreams. I will plant for all the children yet to be. I will plant a tree. I will plant a tree. I will plant trees. Thank you. There it is. The human wins again. So, we always did know this. We always did. We've just forgotten it or laid it aside. Really? I love it when people tell me, that those things couldn't have been built by ancient people because they had to have been built because insert whatever reason you think is necessary there. So there had to be visitors from outer space that built them. And I was a music and anthropology major in college. And I know for a fact that those people weren't stupid, or at least not any more stupid than we are. And in many ways, they were smarter. Come, let me show you the caves of Lasko, where horses and deer and buffalo dance on the walls and the ceilings and the arches above. Ancient and sacred, a gift from the artist's hands. Come with me back to a time when we were young. Follow the herds from an African sun. Enter the caves where they all freely run. And the artist traced his hand in the caves of Lasko. Here in our 21st century myth, we all think we live by some God-given plan, and all life on earth is for our benefit, ours for the taking, as fast as we can. But come with me back to the time when we were young. Follow the herds from an African sun. Enter the caves where they all freely run. And the artist traced his hand in the caves of Lasko. Come kneel in the torchlight. Come bow your head. Give thanks to your brothers, by whose grace you will be fed. Come with me back to a time when we were young. Follow the herds from an African sun. Enter the caves where they all freely run. And the artist traced his hand in the caves of Lasko. Thank you. I just have to do this one now after that one. This one's new, and it was also from a prompt. The prompt was tiger, because this is the year of the tiger. And one of the things I know from the last 2 years is, given a prompt, I am pretty much congenitally incapable of doing what's expected of me. So this is what ended up happening. I hear you cheering for me out there. I know I'm elegant and rare, and I think I am showing admirable restraint. Yes, I am. Fancy Dan there, his name is Roy. He's treating me like I'm some kind of toy, and I'm being practically a saint. His partner, see how he dances? That Siegfried thinks he's some kind of dancer, but really, I'm the star of the show. And I know you know. Even with all that, I've got it good. Since that's the case, I guess I'll put up with that fool and his stupid megaphone. Except last night I dreamed of India, lying in the sun beside the sea. Life was harder then, it was harder then, life was harder then, but I was free. What's that fool Roy doing now? I think he's trying to get me to growl and give that audience a thrill for their applause. I think I'll give him just a little slap, just an eensy-teensy little love tap, not enough to hurt, just to remind him who's boss. Because last night I dreamed of India. I was lying in the sun beside the sea. Life was harder then, yeah, it was harder then. Life was harder then, but I was free. I didn't mean to hurt him. He's such a little squirt. But when the crowd began to scream, well, it was totally worth it. Because last night I dreamed of home, lying in the sun beside the sea. Life was harder then, it was harder then, so much harder then, but I was free. They were fine, by the way. They both recovered nicely. I mean, the tigers. So I have this love-hate relationship with touring. I love traveling, but you haven't lived until you've run down an airport concourse with your computer hanging from your shoulder, your suitcase rolling in front of you, and your guitar on your back. Lots of fun. I'm going to win this, you know. I am the human here. You would think I'd never tuned this before in its life. Oh, give me a break. Nevertheless, I've missed it. I'm so delighted to be here. I'm delighted even to roll my suitcase down the concourse in a hurry because they told me the wrong gate. That's happened 3 times now. And the first time it happened, I kept looking at it going, no, that isn't what happened. And then I heard them announce my name. And I pay for being able to board early so that I definitely get my guitar on the plane with me where I can see it. Well, in the overhead, but I know it's there. As opposed to United Breaks guitars or other sad stories. This is about all of that. I'm ready to see sights I've never seen before. Already packed my bags and I'm headed out the door. Ready to feel sunshine and cool mountain breezes, to travel foreign lands and white sand beaches, or both. Fly me away. I'm ready to hear songs I've never heard before. From didgeridoos or alpine horns. Ready to, oh dear, I forget what I'm ready to do. Let's go. Fly me away, fly me away, fly me away. Take me to a place where everything is new, a place where I can play and stay a while or two. I'm ready. Hey, fly me away. I'm ready to meet friends I've never met before, with unfamiliar smiles and unheard stories. Ready to hear, no. I mean, share a meal or two and meet their families, you know. Fly me away, fly me away, fly me away. Take me to a place where everything is new, a place where I can play and stay a while or two. I'm ready. Hey, fly me away. New flavors, new sounds, new feelings all around. Outward bound, fly me away. Fly me away. Take me to a place where everything is new, a place where I can play and stay a while or two. I'm ready. Hey, fly me away. Fly me away. Fly me away. Fly me away. Thank you. I'm going to do one more and take a short break, during which I hope you'll visit with me. I probably should mention this because I have 5 albums up there on the counter, and one of them I'm going to do some songs from in the next set, at the beginning of the next set. They're stories from the Bible that you didn't get to hear. And there's a reason for that. So, I'm going to leave you with this one. This was from another song challenge, but it wasn't during the pandemic. It was a while ago. There is a teacher of songwriting at Berklee School of Music that comes down to Austin every once in a while and does a workshop. His name is Pat Pattison. We love him and he loves us. And we all wish we went to Berklee, but we don't. And so he drops some gem on this classroom over a weekend, and we spend the rest of the weekend talking about it and trying to, do something with it. And at one point, he called up FaceTime with one of his students, one of his graduate students that was in New Zealand for the summer. And he woke her up because, their time is a little different from ours. And she got up and she started talking about this project she was doing. She was writing a song every day for 2 weeks, 14 songs in 14 days. And all around the room, you could see people pick their head up and you could almost hear them thinking, I want to do that. Or at least that's what I was thinking. So we got a group of us together, and that's what we did. And the deal was you had to have your song recorded and online for other people to listen to before midnight, which we were a lot more religious about the first time we did it than later on. And it was funny because at 11:45, you'd start getting these emails, where's your song? So this is one of the later challenges of 14 songs in 14 days, and about halfway through, this one woman and I realized that we were the only ones left doing it. So we started giving each other prompts. Before that, it was just write about anything. and people did. I mean, it was pretty amazing. The things you got to find out about various people, which I won't repeat because I had a mother and she taught me manners. But this was the prompt she gave me. It was this old red dress, and this was what I wrote from it. This old red dress, it used to go dancing. Harold and I would step out on the floor. People would smile when they saw us coming. I miss dancing, but I miss Harold more. This old red dress, once it was new, and I loved the way it belled out when we twirled. Satin and sequins, crinolines too, red shoes to match, one string of pearls. I would give anything for one more dance with Harold and me swept up in the romance. He was my prince and I was his princess when I danced with Harold in this old red dress. There was a couple at a bar I used to frequent, Linda and Jim. And the band would play, but nobody'd be looking at the band. They were all watching Linda and Jim because they were such good dancers. And they usually ended up with the dance floor all to themselves. I'll let you understand for a moment how that relates to this song. I've tried dancing with others, don't get me wrong. I gave each one a chance, but none were as good. That's how it's been since Harold's been gone. They didn't measure up, didn't think that they would. I would give anything for one more dance with Harold and me swept up in the romance. He was my prince and I was his princess when I danced with Harold in this old red dress. Sooner or later I'll find him again whenever I'm finally laid to my rest. I already know what I'll be wearing then. I'll go to my herald in this old red dress, 'cause I would give anything for one more dance with Harold and me swept up in the romance. He was my prince and I was his princess when I danced with Harold in this old red dress. He was my prince and I was his princess when I danced with Harold in this old red dress. I'll be back. Don't go away.
All right. All right. Tim, am I on? Hello, Tim. I am. He found me again. So we're going to take a short break. Like Jan said, she did bring CDs. Now, she put 5 different CDs up there on the counter. She has more. So those are just samples of what you may be able to get. You can refill your coffee cups. You can refill your cans of soda or pop. You can even get some hot tea. There's cookies up there, and there's chips. And Luca is going to take good care of us. So we'll take a short break, and then we'll be back. I'll sing Far, Far Away.
Oh, okay. This one is songs that my family inspired when I was back home. Yes, yes. Although I think we have really close. But, yeah, my sister was thinking I wasn't actually, she didn't have any. It's her family, it's called Seides. Well, I'll look them up when I get home. Oh, okay. By the time you get back to work. They didn't think that they knew it, but it was deep down in their hearts. It says pretense. Is there something written down here? And then Fishman. Yeah. What happened when you married Brad? Is your guitar four-tenths CE also? Oh, yeah, I learned too. Yeah, you can get more. Yeah. But even
Okay, we're back with a small crowd tonight. I usually gauge it when there's a line at the washroom, but I'm taking a head count here, and it looks like we're all done with that. And so, we'll get ready to go again. Next Friday, in addition to Grove Fest here in Downers Grove, we have the amazing Andrew Calhoun here on our stage. So for those who are local people, everybody knows Andrew Calhoun. Be the usual 8 o'clock start. Doors open at whenever I open the door, which is, I used to say 7:30, but especially in the winter time, I'm not going to let somebody sit out there on the bench and freeze. So anyway, yeah. And then also tomorrow from 2 to 4, there's a sing around in this room. And George Matson, for those who know George, will lead a sing around here. You can have your own song. They've got books that you can sing with. You can play your instruments. You can sing. You can listen. And that's from 2 until 4 in this room. Let me see. What have I forgotten? Well, just to let you know, I think we are completely booked through the end of this year and into next year already with, fine people like Jan who just keeps saying, yeah, I'll do it. So it's worked out really well. Also, just to let you know, we're always in search of volunteers. We've been, since we reopened after the pandemic, it's been the mighty foursome with Joel and Jennifer and Tim and I. And we've had a few of the old volunteers have come back in, but our new guy, Luca, the man behind the counter, is our newest volunteer, and I'm so happy he's here tonight because otherwise it would have been me and Tim. All right, with all of that, Jan, would you like to play some music? All right, well, come on down.
They do that on the airplane when I get in with my guitar and they go, "Oh, are you going to give us a concert?" They don't realize how dangerous that statement is. Yeah, I'll do it. So like I said, I have an album and a book up there, and I'm going to tell you the story. So here's what happened. I wrote this song, and it had a biblical reference in it. And this has happened to me more times than I can count. Somebody says something, and it has the ring of truth for me, and I go off in a direction I never suspected I would go. That's how I ended up in Austin, and that's how I ended up majoring in music at University of Texas. I was telling my friend Teresa this story this afternoon. I didn't know anybody in Texas, and the state of Texas arranged for me to go to UT. And I knew the people who lived in the house I was living in, and maybe 3 more people. And I spotted one of them in a line after I finished my registration, and I was about to leave campus and go back home. And I stopped to talk with him, and we were talking, and he said, "So what's your major?" And I said, "I don't really know. There's things I'm interested in, but I don't want to commit to anything just yet. What's this line we're standing in?" And he said, "Oh, it's to audition for the music department." Well, I've been playing piano since I was 3. So I went, "Oh, okay." And I went in and auditioned and ended up being a music major and an anthropology major. So 2 things guaranteed to make me a fortune, right? So I did this song with a biblical reference, and this woman came up to me and she said, "You ought to read this book I just read. It's all about women in the Bible. It's called Women in the Bible." I know, but it made it really easy to find it. So I found it and I read it, and I'm sure what I got from it didn't have anything to do with the reason she recommended it. But the thing that stopped me in my tracks was I know a little bit about Bible stories, a little bit. They so permeate our culture that it doesn't matter whether you're religious or not, you know these stories, right? My 3-year-old, who had never had any influence on her besides myself and her babysitter, knew Adam and Eve before I read it to her when she was 3. I got 2 sentences in and she said, "Oh, Adam and Eve, I know that one." She's 3. It really is just part of the culture. So I stumbled through these stories thinking, "Oh, this is interesting." And then one of them just stopped me in my tracks, and it's the one I'm about to sing about, because I knew that this person was responsible for 8 of the 12 tribes. She has 2 sentences in the Bible story, and one of them is that she has either weak or cow-like eyes, depending on what translation you read. I don't think it says that in Hebrew, but I haven't investigated that. But I thought, that's not right. And I have kind of an inflated sense of responsibility, so I took care of the problem all by myself, and here it is. Oh, guess what I forgot to do? Take 2. As far back as I remember, I was always Rachel's sister. Sometimes I think that started before she was even born. She was lively, she was clever, and everybody loved her. And when the men came looking, it was Rachel they looked for, not me. I was Rachel's sister. Jacob saw her fetching water, asked if she was Laban's daughter, and she ran home to let us know to make room for one more. I fell in love that night at dinner. He never saw for watching her, and when the meal was over, it was Rachel he asked for, not me. Rachel's sister. This is the story as it is written, but those were the lives we were living. Here is the truth, not the one that others told. It's the one that I know. I am Rachel's sister. They said Jacob was the trickster, but my father brought me forward on Rachel's wedding day, draped in veils upon his arm. But then Jacob worked the harder, and for Rachel too he bartered. Still, I thought I'd win him when each new son was born to me, Rachel's sister. But every night I'd hear her whisper, give me sons like you gave my sister, and prove that you love me. Prove you love me more. So then one night he did it, and little Joseph was his favorite. But Rachel died in childbirth when her second son was born, leaving me, Rachel's sister. This is the story as it is written, but those are the lives we were living. Here is the truth, not the one that others told. It's the one that I know. I am Rachel's sister. Every now and then I wonder, is he still thinking of her, though I'm the one that keeps him warm when the nights are cold? Did she love him as I love him, or did she just love to win? But she is blessed memory, so I will never know. I am only Rachel's sister. This is the story as it is written, but those were the lives we were given. Here is the truth, not the one the old men told. It's the one that I know. I am Rachel's sister, and it can only be told by Rachel's sister. Thank you. So we got a little further into that. I maybe had 3 or 4 of them written, and I was at a conference for people like myself, folk singers and songwriters and what have you. The whole swing a dead cat thing, you know, we're everywhere. Anyway, actually, we're in the place where he used to be the DJ for midnight Express, maybe? Midnight Special. Yeah, Rich Warren, yeah. And he came up to me afterwards. I had always taken him to be kind of gruff and maybe a little intimidating. Turns out he's very shy. But he put himself out to come up to me after I sang this song and said, "What are you planning to do with that?" And I said, I don't really know. I have 3 or 4 of them now, and I'm not sure where this is going, but really it's captured my heart for the moment. And he said, "Well, if you put that out as an album, if you write more of them and put them out as an album, that's probably going to be a breakout album for you." So, of course, I scurried right home and wrote wrote more of them. And it wasn't, and it was. Because here's what happened to it. After I finished the album, I thought, well, okay, that project's done. What do I do now? And I got up and I was singing, just like I'm singing to you. And this guy walked up to me afterwards and he said, "You ought to turn that into a book." Well, normally when people say something, you just smile and say thank you, and people say what they say, But as soon as I heard it, it just became this electric truth for me. And the book is up there. It has the CD in the back. It's got all the lyrics for all the songs and a little backstory on each song and illustrations that were a collaboration between myself and Vanessa Lively, who is a superb watercolorist. The line drawings are mine, and I would send her what I regarded as my silly little drawings, and she would turn them into art. And it was just one of the most amazing processes I've ever been through. So you're welcome to come and take a look. The CD's in the back, so you still get the music. And I thought, okay, that's done. So what do I do now? Well, I'm writing a musical. And this is the project that never ends. But I'm going to do a couple more from that for you, because it just sort of took on a life of its own. And this is the person that's my stand-in for all the people whose names you never learn. It's like they're all the spear carriers. The guy in the red shirt from Star Trek, where as soon as you see him, you know that before this episode's over, somebody's going to be standing over him going, "He's dead, Jim." Well, it's like that. But the reason is nobody ever asked them. They could have told their story, but they were spear carriers in somebody else's, and so nobody ever asked them. And this one didn't even get named. And I'll explain why about the middle of the song. Jephthah was my father, a soldier and commander. Jephthah was a gambler, and like gamblers everywhere, he made a deal with God: defeat my enemy, give me this victory. That was his prayer, and in return he offered up the first to meet him at his door when the goats ran out to greet him as he marched home from his war. I am his daughter, his only daughter, no sisters and no brothers. After all this time, I love my father, so I danced out to the gate. I came to celebrate him, but I found him crying 'cause he'd vowed to surrender the first to meet his eyes, and now his only child would be that sacrifice. And I would have no name, I would have no life, I would never be a mother, I'd be no man's wife, and I'd have no heirs, and he would have the same, but more important, I'd have no name. See, the deal was, if you were a woman in biblical times and you did not have a husband and you did not have children, you had no role. You were a non-person. So he didn't kill her like some people have translated it to say, but he might as well have. So we went up to the hills with all the other virgins. We sang laments and dirges and raised up our voices, and the men tell the tale of Jephthah's righteous glory. But he wouldn't have that story if I had a choice. And sometimes the women gather to mourn my pain, and they weep for Jephthah's daughter and her forgotten name. And the reason she had no name is because there is no afterlife in Judaism. You're remembered by your family. She didn't have one. So I had no name, 'cause I had no life, 'cause I never was a mother, I was no man's wife, and I had no heirs, despite my father's fame, and more important, I had no name. I had no heirs, let that be my father's shame, and from that day to this one, I have no name. Thank you. I normally don't mention Rich's name, but here we are right in the middle of his territory. So lest you think this is all doom and gloom, it's not. I realized about 5 songs in that it was fairly dark and gloomy at my house, and I needed to do something about that. But I got to ask you, have you ever gone looking for humor in the Bible? I only went once. It took me a little while to figure it out, but if you want something funny out of the Bible, you're going to have to bring the funny yourself. So I picked out a few characters, some of which were obvious. This one wasn't. It was just me speculating. Dear Mama, you ask if I am enjoying my place as Solomon's latest wife. Yeah, it's got its moments. What can I say? It's a life. Right now, I'm his darling, and I'm calling that a plus. Though the other wives say his attentions will fade when a new face inspires his lust. That's why there's so many of us. No, Mom, he doesn't sing like his father did, at least not when he's with me. But he's built a beautiful temple, Mama, and he writes decent poetry. Oh, he's a glorious king, to be sure, and masterful in the boudoir, and you might think that's all he is good for. But really, he's pretty smart. Just last week, 2 women quarreled about a baby they both claimed. When he offered to cut the child in 2, we all thought he'd gone insane. But it sure got that knot untangled, so if he doesn't sing like his father did, he's still all right with us, 'cause he's built a beautiful temple, Mama, and his poetry makes us blush. Well, Mom, I gotta go now. I'll try to write more later, 'cause it seems there's a queen needs my room for a bit. And they say that she's wealthy and oh so bewitching. And the king's so excited, he's positively twitching. I think I just became second rate. But oddly enough, I don't hate her, 'cause he doesn't sing like his father did. I'm bored with his poetry. So though he's built a beautiful temple, Mama, She can have them, it's okay with me. So, I had a lot of fun with that. I'm going to do this one for my husband who could not come on this trip, at least partly because he saw that I booked the flight for first thing Tuesday morning to come home because I have a student at 3:45 on Tuesday afternoon, and I have to make sure I get there. Because you can't really have a teaching studio unless you're there to teach, you know. I like to do this one when he's not around, too, because it, first of all, makes him blush, and secondly, he likes to argue about some of the things I've said in it, and this way, he doesn't even know I did it, although I kind of feel like he does, you know what I mean? Don't seem like much that you cuddle up closer when it's cold at night. Don't seem like much that you rub my shoulders when I come home tired. But I don't know what I would ever do if I had to live in this world without you. Don't seem like much, but it's everything to me. Don't seem like much keeps people together these days. It takes a miracle or two, and that's still not enough to hear some tell it, and it sure don't seem to see them through. But in these tough and turbulent times, when love's so easily forgotten, still you don't forget mine. Don't seem like much, but it's everything to me. So many drops fill the ocean, so many stars fill the skies above. So many acts of devotion fill my heart with love. So it means so much when you tell me you love me, though we've had a fight. And it means so much when you say that you're sorry too, even when you were right. It's just a minor detail in the master plan, 'cause I'm just one woman, you're just one man. Don't seem like much, but it's everything to me. I don't mean it's unimportant or any kind of slight. I just wanted you to know that you're doing it right. Don't seem like much, I know, but it's everything to me. Everything. reached the point in the show where the sing-along appears. I gotta say, this song got me into a lot of trouble, and I'll explain after I sing it. But you'll be able to tell your part pretty easily. It's the humidity, right? It must be, because we don't have any of that in Austin currently. Janie was feeling downhearted, so she asked her mama what to do, and heard find your true lover and then take no other, and that should take care of you. Set him a task he can judge by, you can judge by, to know he's the right one for you. Have him bring you some gold or a house to grow old in. But Janie, she knows about proof. She says, bring me blue, blue roses. None but the blue ones will do. And if you bring me blue, blue roses, I'll know my true lover is you. Yeah, you got it. Well, Joey, he brought her some pink ones, as sweet as a baby in spring. And Bob came that night with some yellow and white, so she knew they weren't listening. Stevie, he offered her red ones, and the mansion he shares with his mother. And that Romeo Ray brought a whole rose bouquet, but he gave them to 24 others. Janie wants blue, blue roses. Great. None but the blue ones will do. And if you bring her blue, blue roses, she'll know her true lover is you. Well, then there was hard-working Willie, who came from a town down the coast. And in his gardens there he grew roses so rare, and he knew he loved Janie the most. So off he ran to his hometown, through forests and deserts of sand. He was back by 6:30, all dusty and dirty, with a bunch of blue roses in hand. And he found Miss Jane at her window, and there he fell down on his knees. I have run 40 miles for the sake of your smile, and I'm tired, won't you marry me, please? And take these blue, blue roses, 'cause none but the blue ones will do. Please have these blue, blue roses, and my love everlasting for you. So, if you are looking for my love, I've got some advice for you. Just like Janie, my mother, I'll have no other if you bring me roses of blue. Just bring me blue, blue roses. None but the blue ones will do. And if you bring me blue, blue roses, I'll know my true lover is you. You guys are great. Thank you. So now I'll tell you how it got me into trouble. It's our 20th wedding anniversary, and a celebration has been planned by my husband. So we get all gussied up, we go to a local restaurant, and as we come in the door, I see there's rose petals on the floor, leading down the aisle between the tables all the way to this back room. And we followed it all the way to this back room, and there's rose petals on the floor around this private table in a private room that we're going to get to share with just each other. And rose petals on the table, and a vase. And in the vase are 3 unbloomed blue irises. And I looked at the irises, and I looked at the floor, and I looked at my husband, and he said, I spent this entire afternoon looking for blue roses, because I'd never mentioned to him that actually there's no such thing. Now they're doing something with roses, and you can get blue ones, and you can even grow blue ones in your garden, which I haven't tried yet because I really don't think it'll work. But I could be wrong. But the irises bloomed the next day, and they were gorgeous and very blue. He's such a sweetheart. I married the right man. Oh, okay. Yes, it's been a rough year, has it not? It's been a rough 2 years, 2.5 years, and sad to say, it quite possibly is not over yet. I was talking by email with a friend of mine who also is a songwriter and a performing musician, and I have this online show I've been running for 2.5 years. Gee, how did that happen? Because one thing I know about me is if I'm not performing, I'm not writing either, and that's not okay with me. So I put a songwriter's show online. We do it. Well, see, here's the thing. I had a songwriter's show just like it at a bricks and mortar venue, and it was the second Sunday of each month, and so it was called Second Sunday Songwriters. And it would be me and 2 other songwriters. And when the pandemic hit and they closed the place and we couldn't perform, I put it online. And it took me about 30 seconds to figure out that I was no longer stuck with the second Sunday. I could do it any Sunday I wanted to. So the show is called Any Sunday Songwriters. Also, it took me about 30 more seconds to figure out that I was no longer limited to people who were either living in or passing through Austin. I could invite people to come and play from anywhere. So we've had people play who live in the UK and all over the country. I mean, pretty much everyone that you know of that does this genre of music has been on my show, which is just delicious. And somebody who runs a house concert in Austin came up to me and he said, "You're getting some really good people." And I said, "Yeah, well, I ask. I mean, the worst thing they can say to me is no," and they haven't, much to my delight. So anyway, she said that she'd done a tour in New England and came back with, respiratory issues that, oddly enough, were not COVID. And I thought, do you remember back when you would come back from something and you didn't feel well and you would think, oh, I just got stressed, or I got the flu somewhere, picked up the flu? I mean, you'd never test yourself for a life-threatening, you know. Anyway, it's just a thought I had this morning, which is the thought I was trying to, yeah. There was a time like that, right? I keep a bust of Beethoven before me on the piano. I keep a bust of Beethoven to remind me that even in calamity, tomorrow still holds possibility. So I keep a bust of Beethoven where I'll remember. I keep a bust of Beethoven where I can see. I keep a bust of Bach before me on the piano. I keep a bust of Bach to remind me that though the task is difficult, it still can yield a fine result. I keep a bust of Bach, so I'll remember. I keep a bust of Bach where I can see. And Chopin could not go home, and Mozart died in poverty. So many of them died so very young, and still they left us so much beauty. So I keep a bust of Brahms before me on the piano. I keep a bust of Brahms to remind me that though your heart is aching, your art can be your saving grace. I keep a bust of Brahms, so I'll remember. I keep a bust of Brahms where I can see. I keep a bust of Beethoven, and I keep a bust of Bach, and I keep a bust of Brahms where I can see. One day things will be better. They are, frankly, better for me tonight. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for singing so beautifully on Blue Roses. I'm going to do a couple more and let you get some rest. In fact, here's what I'm going to do. Some of these are so new that I feel like I require a little insurance. Plus, this one has. Oh. Yeah, so that's good. This one. The prompt was, write a song about something you swore you'd never say. So now we're going to say it in the song, right? I actually discovered this a long time ago when my kids were little. My mother lives in my mouth. I can hear her so clearly as I make your sandwich. Find your sock, check your homework. No, let's just leave that rock in the garden because I said to. That's why. My mother hides in my head, and she looks out my eyes as I watch from the window. You run to the bus stop, ponytail bouncing down the front walk, hurrying up because I said to. My mother's fingers tap my shoulder. How is she getting that much older so quickly? She asks me. My mother takes a seat in my mind, and one day I'll be the one sitting in yours, hearing you speak as we watch your children. Have a good day, I hear you tell them, because I said to. That's why. Then my fingers will tap your shoulder. How did you get so much older so quickly? My mother speaks with your voice as I tell you good night and you question my choices and tell me you'll never say those words to your children. You'll always give them a very good reason. Well, here's that reason. Because you said to. That's why. Because I said to. That's why. Because I love you. That's why. Thank you. Okay, so not that long ago, I did crowdfunding. I'll probably never do it again because it's like that far from begging, but it was successful, and I created the album that I wanted to create, but it's work. I mean, it's real work. You have to devise the campaign, and you have to do a video. I almost had to do a crowdfund to have money for the video, you know, like it's a lot of work. And then I got it all up on, I think it was Indiegogo, and I pushed the live button, and I just, oh my God, I just realized there is a possibility I'm going to end up eating worms here, isn't there? Nobody loves me. Yeah, so when the person first donated, I was just beside myself. I gushed all over him, you know, and I didn't know him. He was just somebody who liked my music and wanted this album to be created. And so somewhere in the mix was, I'm going to write you a song. Who said that? So I asked him, is there someplace where I can find out more about you online? And he said, well, I have a YouTube channel. You can find out a little more there. And I went, he said there's a couple of paragraphs. And I went and looked, and yeah, 2 paragraphs. But this just jumped out at me. So I'm going to sing it for you. He liked the song. Go figure. Back before he was a teen, he played with the symphony. They said he was a prodigy, but he put his fiddle down. Friends would ask him why he quit, 'cause I want to be a kid. Gonna miss you, teacher said, but he put his fiddle down. Now the strings are old and rusty. On the shelf the case is dusty, and it smells so musty 'cause he put his fiddle down. Sometimes he remembers when he felt that bow in his hand, but he hasn't picked it up again since he put his fiddle down. Everyone who knows him, they all want to tell him, Tommy, pick your fiddle up and play us a song. Put a smile on all our faces, make us dance all night long. Tommy, you'll remember how it's not too late. Tommy, pick your fiddle up and play. Tommy thinks that he forgot how to get sweet music from that box, but he didn't lose what's in his heart when he put his fiddle down. Sometimes he'll write a song and he will sing it all night long. Tommy's music does go on, but he put his fiddle down. Everyone who knows him, they all want to tell him, Tommy, pick your fiddle up and play us a song. Put a smile on all our faces, make us dance all night long. Tommy, you'll remember how it's not too late. Tommy, pick your fiddle up and play. Tommy, pick your fiddle up and play. Tommy, pick that fiddle up and play. Thank you. He hasn't yet. I'm still working on him. I'm going to do one more for you. This is, well, you'll know what it is. Old friend stopped by the other day. But that's it. An old friend stopped by the other day to open up the closets of the past so skeletons could dance from their hiding place. 'Cause change is either here or closing fast. And we walk dense forests of memory, knowing past today we didn't then. And listen to the soft and minor melodies and sang our songs to absent friends. Perhaps they've received their heart's desire, where time's less than a shadow on the wall. And now that they have met the great simplifier, I hope that love's the only memory they recall. And it's funny how we knew when we were children that love has no beginning and no end. And funny how we'll seem to have forgotten until we speak of absent friends. I so loved the dreams we shared together. I so loved our travels on the earth. Perhaps the dreams and travels last forever, as birth and growth and death and then rebirth. And maybe one day we'll So raise your glass, raise your glass, raise your glass to absent friends. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. It's been delightful to sing for you. Whoops.
Bingo. So, like I say, next week is Andrew Calhoun. Same time, same place, same station. Be advised, the Grove Fest is taking place next weekend. So allow a little extra time to get through the crowd and find a place to park. But no one gets out of the coffee house. This is my patent design. No one gets out of the coffee house without an encore. So,
Yes,
do you have one more?
I do.
Oh, good.
God.
I actually gave her a heads up, so this is all the kind of a rehearsed thing here. So, take it away.
Okay. You shouldn't have told him.
Everybody knows it.
Oh, well, in that case. So the song about the blue roses and this song I'm about to sing you were both born as I was sleeping. And this one was the first one like that. I love my dream songs because it makes me feel like I'm in the right place and I'm doing the right thing, you know. And I have this theory anyway that all of the creative things that we do as humans, it's kind of all there. You just, if you know how to reach up and get one, you can, you know. And sometimes it just kind of lays there and you look at it and go, okay then. And sometimes it blossoms and it's like you got a bouquet of roses. And this one, I had just moved back to Austin from LA and I had $500 to my name and an 8-year-old daughter and a lot of really good friends in Austin, or I might not have made it, but I was terrified. You know, like, what are we going to do if the money runs out and there is no more? Or at least not when we need it. And I was reading these books about UFOs so that I could be terrified about something else. So I think that's at least part of where this song came from. It probably came from all of those places and a few more, but it's unaccompanied because apparently I can't play guitar or piano in my sleep. And I tried as hard as I could to make it accompanied, and it just wouldn't work because it's not supposed to be. So here it is. We met when I was 17, and he was barely older. His starstruck gaze appealed to me, and the world upon the shoulders of uncertain youth. So I wrote this song when I was 20, and he proudly said one day he'd be a man. Oh, hear the wind blowing the stars around, man and woman and man. Come, let us dance to the celestial sound. We are what we are, and we do what we can. Oh, hear the wind blowing the stars around. Oh, hear the wind blowing the stars around. He left when I was 25, and the boy was almost 7, and the girl had just been given life. He said, I'm searching for a heaven far away from you. So I rewrote the song when I was 30, and he struts and says he's after all a man. Oh, hear the wind blowing the stars around, man celestial sound. We are what we are, and we do what we can. Oh, hear the wind blowing the stars around. Oh, hear the wind blowing the stars around. And the turnings of our lives are the turnings of the planets in 1,000 galaxies as yet uncharted. Through solar winds and cosmic rains, all those suns will shine again. So what's the point in being broken-hearted when it's just the wind blowing the stars around? Oh, hear the wind blowing the stars around. He returned when I was 31, and he wrapped his arms around me and embraced our daughter and our son and cried. At last he'd found me and he'd learned the truth. So I wrote again when we were 40, and he shrugs and smiles and says, he's just a man. Oh, hear the wind blowing the stars around. Man and woman and woman and man, come, let us dance to this celestial sound. We are what we are, and we do what we can. Oh, hear the wind blowing the stars around. Oh, hear the wind blowing the stars around. Oh, hear the wind. Thank you. Thanks very much for being here. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you for singing with me. My name is Jan Seides. If you would like to leave your name on my mailing list, it's just outside the door. Those online shows are, you're welcome to them. You don't have to even come to Austin to hear them. And if you'd like to take some music home with you, that can be arranged. You could take me home with you, but that's a little more expensive. I have CDs.